There's no amount of dialogue in this film because in the beginning of the film, the gang actually shot Joel Kinnaman in the vocal cords so he couldn't speak in the film. But it's not just him that doesn't speak, everyone around him. This is a non-dialogue movie. Ho, ho, ho! What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is those who do movie reviews. My name is Owen Zabrinkat, and today I'm going to review the latest Christmas action thriller film, Silent Night. This movie is directed by John Woo, who directed movies like Face Off, Broken Arrow, and Mission Impossible 2, and this movie stars Joel Kinnaman. A grieving father enacts his long-awaited revenge against the ruthless gang that killed his son on Christmas Eve. So John Woo, I've only seen 3 films for him. Like I said, I've seen Broken Arrow, I've seen Face Off, 2 really fun action films, but he also did movies like Mission Impossible 2, which is in my opinion the worst in the series. I was interested in the film because I'm an action film buff, I love action films, I love fun action films, and the trailers looks like it's going to be a movie that's going to give me what I want from an action movie. Just a fun time at the movies with a bit of a Christmas vibe to it. So, I went to this movie. I know this movie is very mixed by a lot of people, but all I want to see is just a fun action movie. And I would say, I'm not going to lie, this movie is pretty disappointing. But this film does have some positives. One of the cases is that I appreciate what this film is trying to do, because I didn't know that this film is basically a silent film. There's no amount of dialogue in this film because in the beginning of the film, the gang actually shot Joel Kinnaman in the vocal cords so he couldn't speak in the film. But it's not just him that doesn't speak, everyone around him. This is a non-dialogue movie. All you hear dialogue in this film is from like car radios and stuff, and you hear mostly just sound effects and score. And I thought that's something a bit different, and I do appreciate what John Woo is trying to do with this film. And I'm not gonna lie, I do appreciate this idea. I do appreciate that this film is basically a silent film with an action Christmas twist to it. And I thought that's mostly very handled. And I would say Joel Kinnaman is actually really good in this movie, because he doesn't speak an amount of dialogue in this film. You only see him from his actions and facial expressions, and you do feel for him. You do feel for his character. He's a completely broken character after the events that happened. And I thought Joel Kinnaman does a really good job in the film. I think he's a very underrated actor, and I thought he does a pretty good job in the film. He's definitely one of my favorite elements of this film. Also, the action. I would say the action is technically in the third act of this movie. And the action is fun enough. Not memorable or anything, but it is fun enough. There is a really good car chase scene, and also there's a really good stairs shootout scene. Not as good as John Wick 4, of course, but there is a really good stairs shootout scene. And I just gotta say, the action was filmed very well, and John Woo once again did the action very well in this movie. But that's in the third act of this movie, because unfortunately, the first 2 acts of Silent Night is basically all build up. And this film is totally a slow paced movie. This movie is like an hour and 44 minutes, and it felt like it's 2 hours long. I'm not gonna lie, this film started out good. I was like, okay, I was interested. It got me in. But then the film just drags and drags. Since this is a silent film, it also feels more draggy and does feel very boring at times, because it's just all build up to get to the action scenes of this movie. Joel Kinnaman is basically preparing to kill these villains, and honestly, I just felt like this film is very, very slow-paced and very, very boring. I was literally checking my phone a couple of times in this movie going, oh my god, we're in the third act already? Where's the action? Where's the action I wanted to see? And look, there are some action films that could do a good job of like taking a build-up and then build up to the main awesome moment. But the problem is, this film is a silent film. There's no dialogue. So I would say the silent element, although it's a really interesting thing and it's developed very well, it just didn't make this film all that entertaining for me. It makes it all boring for me. And I was disappointed because I loved the potential that this film was trying to do. And I can see what John Woo was thinking. But just from those first 2 acts, I'm just like, this film is just so slow and so boring building up to the moment. Especially with no dialogue, only music, only sound effects. It just makes this film way more slower paced than it actually is. Overall, guys, Silent Night is definitely a disappointing movie for me. I thought the first 2 acts of this movie is very, very slow, leading up to the 3rd act that is probably one of my favorite elements of the movie. The action is really well done. John Woo directed this movie very, very well. Joe Kinnaman also does a really good job in this film. But this is definitely not a Christmas film that I was expecting, and I'll be honest, this film has so much potential, and the execution just didn't really land for me, in my opinion. I thought this film is slow, it is boring to get to what I really wanted to see. Not just I just wanted to see this film for the action, like the story, I want to be interested too. But unfortunately, this film has a very slow build-up that made me go, okay, come on. Let's just get the pacing down. But once again, I do appreciate what John Woo is trying to do, making this a silent action film. I find that very interesting. So there are some stuff to appreciate with Silent Night, but overall, this film is definitely going to be in my disappointing movies of the year because I'm going to give Silent Night a C-. So guys, that is my review for Silent Night. Let me know what you think of this film in the comments below. Do you like the film, hate the film, or you thought it's okay? And what is your favorite John Woo film? Let me know that also in the comments below. Make sure you guys follow me on social media links down below. Keep contact with me, and make sure you guys subscribe to my channel for my latest movie reviews and other movie related content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a nice day.